Hello everyone. I'm Chaotic Chapters, aka Jen. Actually, I'm Jen, aka Chaotic Chapters. But welcome to Book Breakdown. I eventually want to make this a weekly series, so maybe it'll be Book Breakdown Wednesdays. We'll see what happens. But today I would love to break down Insatiable by Leigh Rivers. And this is book 1 out of a 3-book series. I just want to give a huge disclaimer here that I will be spoiling the absolute crap out of this book, so just wanted to let you know. But I will be doing it while I do my makeup today, so sit with me while I do my makeup, while we do this look. It's not a makeup tutorial, it's just like a sit down, get ready with me, and we're going to talk about this book. So grab your favorite beverage, and let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. So again, we're going to go ahead and completely demolish and spoil Insatiable by Leigh Rivers. This is part of a 3-book series, so a trilogy, and it does leave on a cliffhanger, so just to let you know. I'm going to go ahead and go over some tropes right now. I have these really cute book trope cards, and I went through them and I just picked out all the ones that I'm like, okay, this is what this book is about. So first and foremost, best friend's brother. It is Cade and his twin, Luciella, and she goes by Lou. They're the brother and sister in the book, and then the main female character is Stacy. It's a hate to love. Yeah, hate to love. Multiple times, back and forth, whiplash throughout this book. They do have a secret relationship. Obviously, it is the best friend's brother, so they kind of have to keep it on the down low. And there's more to it too. We'll get into it. He is stalker-ish at some points in the book, so we'll go over that. Again, enemies to lovers, to enemies to lovers, to enemies to lovers. It's so back and forth. There's so much emotional whiplash in here. Dark romance. It is dark. And then the main character is a grumpy sunshine. So we definitely will go into that. Okay, so those are the tropes, just high view. There's obviously more tropes that probably pertain to these books, this book and this series. I'm going to leave that there since that's the book that we're talking about. And then, but before we get into that fun stuff, I want to go ahead and make sure that we have a drink because I don't know how long this talk through is gonna be. I'm gonna be doing my makeup today. Yeah, I already did my hair. So we'll just be doing my makeup as I talk through and completely ruin this book for you. Okay. But today I'm drinking a Shirley Temple Bloom Pop. My daughter got me into these. She's addicted, so now I'm addicted. Oh gosh, so good. I also want to give a little disclaimer that I might sometimes look at my phone because I have some notes to make sure I stay on track because sometimes I ramble and we're not here for that. Another disclaimer is I'm not an aesthetically clean girly, and what I mean by that is my makeup brushes are used and abused and I need to wash them. So as I do my makeup, you probably will see me grab a brush and you'll probably be like, damn, what is that? And listen, that's just who I am and what we're going to do. Okay, I do have a mirror right here, so sometimes I'll be looking over here if I'm doing my makeup, but again, the whole point of this isn't, I'm not doing this to give you a makeup tutorial or anything like that. We're here to talk about books. We're here to demolish books, and at the end of the day, I know some of you are going, why are you spoiling this book? Sometimes there's some people out there that like the spoilers, and I'm the type of person that likes to sit through and I like to listen to as other, book talkers, book content creators talk through books. And at the end of the day, you reading the book, you're gonna create your own feelings, create your own connections with the books. Me spoiling it shouldn't really do anything for you. And if it does, I'm sorry, but I've given a lot of disclaimers letting you know that I'm going to ruin this book for you. Okay, so this book starts off pretty strong. It starts off in Cade's point of view, and again, Cade is the main male character and Stacy is the main female character. They're the love interest throughout this entire book, and Cade and Luciella are brother and sister. They're twins. Another thing to note is that Luciella and Cade's dad is apparently a famous murderer, and he's in jail or in prison in like some type of institution, and they obviously live a life where their dad is like famously known for what he did and what he does. And but yeah, that's their life. So it starts off from Cade's point of view, and already you can tell Cade has trouble processing his emotions. Like, he just not disassociates. He's, in the book it's described as he has a very hard time understanding his feelings, and with that also he has a hard time of like understanding like happiness or like joy. For him, those emotions seem very like mundane to him. And so in the book, it's at their, I want to say it's their 15th birthday party, the twins, and he's just over it because he's not into parties. They typically just throw it. The mom's like, I'm going to try to get him to like show his emotions, but obviously he's not going to. So he's just completely bored out of his mind at his own party, and he goes to like escape, and I think he goes to his pool house, and at his pool house, he starts like smoking, and yeah, he's like 15 and smoking. It might be 14, who knows. And as he's outside smoking, he hears that somebody is like at his pool, like he can hear them sloshing their feet and stuff like that. And so he goes to check them out, and it's Stacy. He doesn't know it's Stacy. He doesn't know who this girl is. He just describes her as like a mystery girl. And he doesn't understand this pull that he has towards her. He's just like, she's pretty. Why do I have, what's with my stomach? Like, that's literally how he pretty much describes it throughout the entire book. And so he's like staring at her, pretty much stalker vibes already. And he goes up to her, and I remember he starts talking to her, and she's kind of ignoring him. Like, she's playing like the cool girl vibe. And he's just like, what the hell? And immediately he's just like, this is intriguing because A, nobody ever does that, but also B, what up, bitch? And so, oh, my neck is white. If this is a match, listen, it's been a while. And so, you know, eventually she does say something to him. She says something snarky. You can tell she's interested. I mean, we as the reader can tell she's interested. He doesn't think so. And she starts leaving. And he said something like smart mouth to her, like, don't ever bother me again. And she was like, pretty much like, same. And so that's how it starts off. Again, they're like children at this point. And so he's always thought like, oh, this feeling that he's feeling, he obviously hates her and she hates him. And so then it jumps forward to Cade picking Stacy up. And I think they're are they 18? No. They're like 21 or something like that. They're in their 20s, early 20s. And it jumps forward to Stacy leaving this guy's house that she had just hooked up with. And Cade picks her up, unbeknownst to her, and immediately it's like hostile. Like, they hate each other. And you go, oh, they've probably had like a bad childhood, blah, 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 whatever it might be. And but then quickly start to learn, like, no, something happened and he hates her for a reason. And she completely is like, this is my fault. Yada, yada, yada. So it goes like, they're hostile. Like, he's ignoring her, and he pretty much calls her like a slut. And yeah, so they're going back and forth. And let me just tell you, these books, it's like one chapter will be the past and the next chapter is the present, and maybe it's like two chapters are in the present, it's different point of views, and then it goes to like a flashback. So there's a lot of flashbacks like every 2 to 3 chapters in the book, and it helps give you that perspective. So I'm gonna read my notes, okay? So when they're now in their like early 20s and everything like that, it starts to clearly become obvious that like he stalks her. And later in the book, he even says, like, he can't go a day without checking on Stacy, and whether that's hacking into her work cameras or into his home cameras, because, again, she's still best friends with his sister. He still stalks her. But he says, even though I very much hate her, I'm going to, like, make sure I'm still keeping an eye on this girl. And so, still don't know what happened between the two of them, but obviously there's some strong feelings. But it also becomes very apparent that Stacy has a lot going on in her own personal life. So when she first moved to, it's in Scotland. So when she first moved to Scotland with her dad, it's because her mom had passed away and he had just remarried. And flashing forward to this present, her dad has now passed away. And she explains that her dad had left money for her, but apparently the stepmom, like, took it all in. And the stepmom's not portrayed as being, like, evil or anything like that. Just more like she did it for, like, survival, blah, 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 blah. Stacy never, like, describes, like, her mom as, like, her being hateful towards her mom or anything. Her mom still takes care of her, and her mom allows her freedom, and her mom still, like, checks on her, or stepmom, sorry. Stepmom still checks on her. And she has 2 older stepbrothers. One older stepbrother, he's the oldest. His name's Kyle. I think he's the oldest. His name's Kyle. He's very, very sweet. He doesn't live in town anymore. She has another stepbrother that she has not shared. So everyone knows she has a stepbrother named Kyle. No one knows she has a stepbrother named Chris. And because Chris is a little psychopath. Chris is super controlling towards her, and he's very inappropriate, and the things that she describes that he does, like, to himself just in her presence or to her, it's gross. Very gross. So she's very uncomfortable, and she rarely wants to be home, and so that's why she's either always at work or she's always at her BFF's house. Now, for 2 years, we're in the present still, for the past 2 years, Kate has not been home. From her understanding, Kate has been at university, and he has, like, a job, and so he hasn't really been home, and when he is home, they haven't crossed really paths, really, until the present now, when he picked her up. And so, that's a whole nother thing. Anyways, so they start bumping into each other again, of course, like any love story. For work, she is a professional dancer. She teaches dance class at a dance studio that her best friend owns. Luciella, Cade's twin sister, also dances. It's her, Ty, and Stacy. They're the trio of the group, and they all dance. Ty's the one that owns the dance studio, and Luciella, Ty, and Stacy all teach at it. Also, something to note is Stacy's dad had money. They have money. They live in a really nice house and everything, but they're not rich. Luciella and Cade's family, the Mitchells, they are rich. And yeah, they live in a mansion and all that stuff. So as we're going back and forth throughout the flashbacks, we start to learn that Stacy and Cade actually dated. They started dating when they were like 18, and I think they dated for about a year. And throughout these flashbacks, you start to realize, like, they were super cute and in love. Oh, God. I don't know if I made a mistake. They were super cute and in love. But Cade also is very open. Like, he doesn't understand his feelings, but I don't know if I fucked up, guys. She helps him understand his feelings. She helps him discover that he is, in fact, in love with her. But again, they keep their relationship secret this whole time. I don't know if I was going to look at it. Anyways, This is my first time using this contour. And of course I decided to use it on camera with you. Anyway, so as they were dating when they were younger, they were super, super happy, super, super in love. They were each other's first for everything. And they kept their relationship very, very secret. Cade always thought it was because of how strict Luciella, his sister, was, because Luciella would always say, like, none of her friends could ever date Cade or his friends, and because he has 2 best friends, and so he always thought that was the reason. He always was like, he didn't give a F. He didn't give a flying F. He wanted everyone to know, and Luciella was like, no, 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 no. She made it seem like it was also because she didn't want to, like, hurt her friendship with Luciella. However, the truth was, she was terrified of her brother Chris finding out, because Chris, again, psycho he would hurt her or be, like, sexually inappropriate towards her. And she never opened up to Cade she'd never opened up to anybody about this. Because Chris always threatened everyone, and Chris is like this huge cyber freak. He's just really good at, like, cyber stuff and security and stuff like that, and so he tracked Stacy for everything, and that was that. So again, you like, with the flashbacks, you always wonder, you're like, what happened? Like, what truly happened between the two of them? It doesn't really say. It vaguely becomes apparent that Stacy betrayed him, Cade, and he said, he would say, like, she cheated, and that completely broke his trust. And again, you'd never know what truly, like, happening. Like, they're very vague in the explanations. You just know she somehow cheated, and the way she portrays it, it makes it seem like, yeah, she cheated, like. But you always wonder, like, with them going back into the flashbacks, you're like, wow, their love was so pure and so true and so strong. Like, why would she cheat? Yeah. So, it's going back and forth. And in the present, they are slowly, like, running into each other more and more and more. And again, Cade, being Cade, he already had a hard time understanding his emotions, but again, he just keeps saying he, like, absolutely hates her, and he wants absolutely nothing to do with her, and he would never be able to forgive her. But obviously he's still very much attracted to her. Like, there was a time that Lou's family asked Cade to go fix something in the dance studio, and at the time that he's there fixing, she's there, and she's getting ready to teach a class, and they describe it as her in, like, these thigh-high, skin-tight, heeled boots, and she's teaching pole dancing, and so she has to go through her routine, and of course he, like, watches her and is completely mesmerized by her, and they end up, like, I don't want to say, they don't kiss, because that's a huge thing, is, like, when they start going back and forth with each other again, like, her whole thing is, like, she doesn't want to kiss him because she thinks that's too intimate because of how he treats her. But they get hot and heavy without kissing. Let's just say that. And so this was the first real incident of them, like, crossing their hateful boundaries that they've put back in place. And he, like, left, and he was like, that was the biggest mistake. He will never do that again. You know how the men are in these books. And so it goes on from that. Come to find out, Cade's job. So Cade apparently was never at university, and he does not have a typical job. He is a hitman. Is that the best way to put it? He's a hitman for a very bad lady. And the reason why he got into that is because during their Stacy and Cade's initial breakup, he was, I think, sitting outside of her job, and he was, like, trying to go back and forth on whether he was going to go in and talk to her, and he didn't. And this woman, and she's a very, very big political role in their town. I forget what it is. Her name is, what the f is her name? I don't remember the lady's name, but she's a huge political figure. She has something to do with the police in the town. So she pretty much owns the town. Like, she's a bad lady. And it's kind of like underground mafia shit. So he works for her. Excuse me. He works for her. And when she found him in his emotional like state of like him being heartbroken and everything, she had no idea it was like a breakup. She knew he was going through something emotionally, but she was like, the way she knew him is because of his dad, Tobias Mitchell, the murderer. And she was like, hey, I have a huge part in your dad's like cases and I could help him out if you help me out. And so he was like, okay. And so he went to go start working for her to find out, like, she would send him like to multiple places around the world. Like, I think Russia was one of them. And he was like tortured. Like, pretty much he was being trained to be this unstoppable hitman. And so, like, in his flash, or like he starts describing like his times, he starts describing like how he can endure so much pain because that's what he was trained for. And anytime he has an issue with I think her name's Bernadette, anytime he has an issue with like Bernadette's tasks or assignments, if he tries to push back, she's like, I'm gonna put your dad in solitary confinement for a month, whatever it might be. And so he has just always been doing whatever she says. And over time, he's kind of built his own organization because he started realizing that certain people that he was assigned to weren't bad. And so he kind of would save them, and he'd be like, hey, if you want to work for me, like, I'm trying to take her down eventually. And so he has his own little organization, or yeah, whatever it is. And because his plan is to eventually get out of Bernadette's control. So throughout this whole thing, like, it shows, oh, and besides him being a mass hitman, he is also a male prostitute. Like, she will sell him to sleep with her clients. And it's, like, insane. I honestly started feeling really bad for him. He's a dick, though. But I started feeling bad for him. So, you learn that about him. You learn that he doesn't also want anybody, like, from Bernadette, like, his job society, to find out about Stacy, because obviously Bernadette's the type of, like, crazy woman to use Stacy against Cade. But at the same time, he's not acting like he hates Stacy. Like, throughout this whole thing, he's like, I hate her. I hate her. Like, she broke my heart. She betrayed me. Oh, and then to find out she was pregnant. So apparently she cheated after she lost her baby. But again, you find out towards the end. I'm gonna wait for it towards the end because it's like, meow. But yeah, Kate's perspective the whole time is that she betrayed him, and then Stacy's perspective is if he stays away, he'll survive, because she's worried that if Chris, her psycho brother, finds out about Cade, that Chris will kill Cade, not knowing Cade can stick up for himself and probably take Chris out in like a heartbeat. So it's like this whole thing, like, you're just like, can you guys just talk to each other? Please just talk to each other. But everything starts to go down when Luciella invites Stacy to go to America, because that's where Papa Mitchell is being held at. And she's like, you should come with us to America. I have to visit my dad. We'll make a trip out of it. We'll go shopping, blah, 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 blah. So Stacy, let's see. I'm trying to remember what the event was. So the morning that they're supposed to leave for America's, Stacy's not answering her phone. Luciella told Cade that she was sending one of Cade's best friends to go pick up Stacy. And throughout this whole time, Cade's best friends are like F-boys, and like, they are like, Stacy's hot, we want to hook up with her, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as he heard that one of his best friends was going to go pick up Stacy, he was like, no, I'll go pick her up. Because at the end of the day, I forgot to mention this, See, go back and forth. He's killed, so she's only slept with 2 people since they've broken up, and he's killed one of them, and the other one he beat severely, thinking that he was gonna go and report him, and the guy did, but he ended up covering up and taking care of it, whatever. So, like, he's still super protective of Stacy, and he's just, like, he thinks he's doing it to ruin her life, and she doesn't care. Like, these guys have gone missing, and she hasn't noticed. But, so, he goes to pick her up so they can go to the airport. She was still asleep when he got to the house. She finally wakes up, they run a little late, and then because they ran late, they ran into traffic, and because they ran into traffic, they didn't make their flight. So, they have to stay in town together. Lie. Mistake. Everyone else was able to leave for the Americas. They looked for the next flight. If they stayed in town, the next flight wasn't for 2 more days. However, if they drove to the next town, like, over, then they could get a flight for the following day. So they drove to the next town over, and they had to get a hotel room, and they had to stay in the hotel room. And things started to get hot and heavy, and Cade had... Was it Cade? Yes, Cade had what seemed to be an anxiety attack. So Cade has anxiety, and he doesn't understand his anxiety. He just is like, I get this tightening feeling in my chest, and I start thinking about the past, and I start thinking about all these things, and I don't know what to do, and he has to focus on 5 things that he can see so it can calm him down. Anxiety. And so, as they're getting hot and heavy, they're about to, do stuff, more stuff. He had an anxiety attack, and he ran, and he locked himself in the bathroom. Stacy has no idea what's happening. She's completely she's like, I have whiplash. Like, one second he's telling me he, doesn't want to look at my face, and the next second he's all over me, and then the second after that, he's, locking himself in the bathroom. She's like, what the heck is going on? It's like, same girl, same. But at the same time, we have an insight into his head, and so we kind of understand what he's coming from. Again, wish they would just talk it out, but they haven't. So with this, I'm trying to think what happens. The whole time, Chris is, going psycho and blowing up Stacy's phone and, threatening her, and, it's disgusting. So, they finally get on a plane to go to America, and when they get to America, he pretty much just, drops her off with Luciella, with his, family, and he kind of disappears. He does get to go see his dad, and his dad, knowing how his son is, tried getting him to open up about his emotions, and of course Cade, shut him out and, left. Bernadette, crazy boss lady, knew he was in the Americas, so she kept sending him assignments, and so he, pretty much was on a killing spree. Oh, with all of this, you realize, too, he's, heavily on drugs, and he says it's because when Bernadette sent him away to go get training and everything, he, she would, shoot him up with, anything and everything. And so he kind of has developed this addiction, and he's, a huge cokehead. And, you're working through, all of that. And so when he finally gets back, I'm trying to think. Okay, so it's the final nights, and, oh, yeah, no, I'm right. This is the final, so they're going out to the nightclub. This is finally Stacy and Kate are seeing each other, and again, she's like, I'm tired of the emotional whiplash. She doesn't know, how to take his demeanors and stuff like that. But again, he's checking her out, and he's, saying, a bunch of, hey, you look sexy type things. And he's, being a jealous a-hole and stuff like that. And so they finally get to the nightclub, and as they're at the nightclub, Cade has an assignment to kill that nightclub owner. So they're at the nightclub that he needs to finish an assignment. And Stacy, being hot girl that she is, apparently caught the eye of the owner. And so she starts, flirting with him at the bar. Cade comes up, and he's like, don't flirt with him. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, she takes it as a joke, he was being serious, and he's like, if you continue flirting with him, I'm going to kill him. And she was like, whatever. So she goes out on the dance floor, and she's bumping and grinding on the owner, and she ends up letting the owner kiss him. However, from her point of view, she was just like kind of standing there, and he was like blah, 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 whatever, and she wasn't really like reciprocating back, but her goal was to make Cade jealous. And so the owner's like, let's go, and she's like, okay. They get to the back alley, and when they get to out of this, well, she thinks they're out of sight from Cade, and she's like, you know what, never mind, like, I don't want to do this, like, I'm gonna go back inside. Cade comes out and, like, pretty much smashes this guy's, like, brain. Hey, guys, it's Jen from the future. My camera cut off, apparently, while I was recording, and I'm just now finding out while I'm editing. So, just to bridge the gap, they went out to the alleyway. Stacy was like, no, I want to go back inside. Cade shows up. Cade beats owner almost to death, but he's not dead. Cade tells Stacy why he's going to kill the owner. Stacy's like, yeah, you should kill him. They ended up hooking up. So at this point, they hooked up. She knows he's a serial unaliver, and motions are messy. So just want to bridge that gap, okay? So anyways, they hooked up. She leaves. She didn't hear from him the very next day. They leave, they meaning her family and the friends are at the airport, and they're getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden Cade calls Stacy. And he's like being super weird, and she's like, this isn't making any sense. Is he okay? So, she left her friends at the airport to go get Cade because, he's not, he made it seem like he was, like, killing himself or dying, whatever it was, and so she's like, I have to go check on him, go take care of him, and she leaves, and she goes and finds him. She takes him to a hotel room, and so he can, like, rest up and everything, but now knowing that, like, he's a killer, she's, like, conflicted, because she's like, what do I do? She's like, what am I supposed to do with this? She finds out he's kind of on drugs, and then so she's conflicted with everything, and then he finally wakes up, and when he wakes up, he's kind of acting like weird and stuff like that. They obviously are hooking up because they can't keep their hands off of each other. And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna take you home. We have a flight this day, which is like, I think the next day. And he's like, I'm gonna take you, let's go out. I'll take you, we can go to the mall, like somewhere public. And she's like, okay, that's fine. Little does she know, he actually took her to go, like, so he could buy a motorcycle. They go on a motorcycle ride. They went to go stop at, like, some docks. And they start hooking up. Good for them. And next thing you know, as they're, like, hooking up on his motorcycle, you know, behind some boats, they hear something, and he looks up, and it's Bernadette, Psycho Boss Lady's, her husband. Her husband's like a little pawn in this, like, this underground stuff. And because the husband sees Stacy, and that pisses the husband off, because the husband knows how much Cade means to his wife. And Cade immediately is like, oh shit. So he starts rushing Stacy home on the motorcycle, and they're getting chased and shot at. And Cade gets his, you know, his own secret society people to, like, take Stacy on a plane, take her out, take her back home, and they finally kiss. And again, remember, like, she had this whole thing where she didn't want to kiss him because that was too, like, personal, and, like, a kiss means something to her. And so as he's, like, saying goodbye, they kiss, and of course she's like, oh my god, my feelings are back. Well, she's never, like, lost her feelings, but she's like, oh, he must, like, feel something for me again. And this is the end of the freaking book. But yeah, so, and then the whole time, too, she at one point also went to go, visit the dad, or called the dad, no, sorry, she called the dad while he was in his, like, his prison, and she was like, you need help, like, Cade's in trouble, I don't know what's going on, he kills people, and pretty sure he's on drugs. And then the dad's, like, super protective of his, like, family and stuff like that, and his dad's like, okay, we'll figure this out together. But because Bernadette saw Cade with Stacy, the jealous bitch that Bernadette is, she put Tobias into solitary confinement. And so Stacy was never able to really get a hold of him, so she's like, well, what do I do? Stacy was never able to get a hold of him. Cade says bye to her, sends her on this plane. She's like, what the heck am I supposed to do? She has no idea what she's supposed to do. She's on this plane with Barry, who is Cade's right-hand man in his little secret society. She is like going back and forth. She's like, I don't know what's going to happen with Cade, because Barry finally opens up to like Stacy about who Bernadette is, or not really who Bernadette is, but like what she can do, and that like Cade's pretty much going to be gone for a while now because he's going to get punished. And Stacy's like, well, now I'm going home to my psycho-abusive brother, who is already upset that I've been ignoring and blocking all of his calls. And so she's just like in this huge thing. Also to find out that Chris, her psycho stepbrother, is the reason why Stacy lost their baby, and they knew it was gonna be a baby girl. That was the whole thing. So Chris was the reason why she lost the baby, because he beat her ass. And Chris is the reason why Cade thinks that Stacy cheated, because Chris drugged her and sold her to his friends, and raped her, sorry. And he recorded a snippet of it, which made it seem like Stacy wanted it, but Stacy was drugged up and she thought one of the guys was Cade. So it's like this whole thing. The ending is, it leaves on a cliffhanger. It leaves with Stacy flying home to her psycho brother. So you don't know how that's gonna go. It ends with Cade being tied up and drugged up with Bernadette. She like confronts him and she's like, who was that woman? And he was like, it was nobody. It was just somebody I was hooking up with, and I just, because she was nobody, I didn't want to put her innocent life at risk. And she believed it, and she was like, well, still, you betrayed me, and so you're gonna be working directly with me for a while. And I think he described it as like him being sold off and stuff like that. Additionally, she drugs him so she could sleep with him too. She has done that. But yeah, that's book 1. I'm halfway through book 2, and it goes more into details on the emotional aspect for like Cade's end. And it's so heartbreaking just to like see what happens to him and see how like Bernadette's like really manipulated his mind. She manipulates her power over his dad to get him to do what she wants, and just seeing like the perspective of all of that. It's really intense. It's really emotional, and I didn't talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on, but yeah, it's very dark romance. It's very dark. The spice level, definitely a 4 out of 5, maybe even a 4.5 out of 5. Like, it's spicy, but at the same time, there's some just sad spice elements, like sad details that you're just like, I'm not really into the spice at this point, because like I'm kind of like, ooh, like what's happening? So yeah, that's that. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming to my book breakdown for Insatiable by Leigh Rivers. And I know I rambled a lot. This is the first video I'm making for the series. I'm hoping that my notes, I'll learn to stick to my notes so we can stay on par moving forward. Again, this book was a lot, and all books are, and at the end of the day, you had a disclaimer. There's a lot of spoilers. There's a lot. But again, it's different. Like, even you reading it, it's like, it's different when you read it. It's different when you're putting your mind into it and you start to feel or, like, decipher those emotions on your own. But yeah, until next time, we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be the second book. I don't know. I'm kind of slowing down on it. I am currently listening to an audiobook, Bad Bishop by LJ... Who is it? LJ Shen? Yes, Bad Bishop by LJ Shen. That one. We'll talk about dark. Until next time, thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed your little beveragino. I enjoyed mine, and yeah. See you next time. Bye.